the Twitter files come out, and I want to get into that one because I think that's a very interesting one, because when we're doing what you're saying, when we're looking at information and at people for who they are and what they're saying and what's happening, without any, we don't care about the letter D or the letter R, the red, the blue. We're just looking at where is the corruption and what needs to be said about it and what can we do about it, rather than saying, oh, what team is this helping? What team is this helping? The Twitter files is an excellent example of just those of us saying there is corruption here. We don't care about the R and the D. We're seeing the collusion between the FBI and CIA with the government, with social media tech. I mean, we see it. It doesn't matter which, R's and D's are doing it, but yet some people just cannot get out of that battle that I think is on purposely trying to distract people from the actual corruption and trying to keep us in teams as if it's some sports match.
That's where Fox News and CNN and MSNBC, I mean, there's no difference between Rachel Maddow and Sean Hannity. Zero. Yeah. Absolutely. They want to make it like it. There's a difference.
So I like to do this. I got a clip from the Twitter hearings about the Twitter files with Matt Taibbi, one of the few brave journalists left right today that, he would say he's a progressive. He worked for Rolling Stone for years. But he got the opportunity to look into this and to see what he came up with. It's crazy to me that he would go into that. He would, as a journalist, you would say, I have information. I've done my homework. I have these sources. I don't have to name these sources, but I can tell you, here's the information I found, and what are we going to do about it? But rather than looking at the information, they're like, let's attack Matt Taibbi. Let's call him all these names. Let's say he's like, it's crazy to me to be so angry at the messenger. So I'm going to show this right now. Like, maybe we can give our commentary along the way. I'd love to hear what you think about this. So let me just get this going here. This is the Twitter file hearings from earlier this month with Matt Taibbi basically being questioned here. But before he gets questioned, there's a huge argument that goes on about how he's being questioned. So check this out, guys.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not exaggerating when I say that you have called before you two witnesses who pose a direct threat to people who oppose them. It's funny when people have to go through that. Exactly. This is unacceptable. I'm ready for it. I don't know if a lot of other people are, but just as it was unacceptable for Kevin McCarthy to provide 41,000 hours of sensitive security footage to a biased talking head in an effort to rewrite what happened on January 6th. This is a new Republican playbook, apparently. Risk American safety and security to score political points.
The gentlelady's words should be struck. We do not accuse witnesses of threatening others. That is out of line and outside the rules of this committee.
So I'm just going to stop it there. So he's calling around and saying you can't say that these journalists are a danger, that their information they're presenting is harming others and is a danger. He said you can't do that. He's giving us information. He's not a threat. And I think it's crazy. I don't know. It's absolutely.
Didn't Obama say he'd be the most transparent president ever?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a fan of Matt Taibbi. I follow his work. I think he's showing incredible courage, and I think that this exemplifies the hypocrisy on the Democratic Party. I mean, the censorship, the warmongering, and let's not forget the Republicans. I mean, Lindsey Graham openly called for assassinating Vladimir Putin. Nobody does this in the world. Openly calls for assassinating leaders, for shooting down jets. I mean, nobody does this. I mean, this is absolutely insane. And let's not forget that the Maidan Revolution 2014, that Lindsey Graham was down there with John McCain and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. They're all, the entire crew was down there. Nancy Pelosi's son was part of Burisma. It's both parties. But, you have to give credit to Jim Jordan, a lot of these Democrats that have challenged on some level the official narrative. Rand Paul, I don't see any Democrats, though. That's the problem.
Not right now.
Yeah, but they, you know, I mean, Dennis Kucinich, they gerrymandered his district to get him out. I mean, they effectively purged everyone from the Democratic Party.
Okay, absolutely. Let's get back to this. It's going to start really heating up now.
I can have an opinion.
You don't get to determine what's struck down.
Well, you do get an opening statement, and it's
And
about,
so let
it's
me
about
finish.
over.
The committee will suspend.
We know this is because at the first hearing, the chairman claimed that big government and big tech colluded to shape and mold the narrative and suppress information and censor Americans. This is a false narrative. We're engaging in false narratives here, and we are going to tell the truth. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I would just point out the consent decree was in our report. We offered your staff also the opportunity to review the FTC letters. You have not come over to review those letters. Third, the idea that I believe both of these individuals who are getting ready to testify, I believe they're both Democrats. The idea that two journalists who happen to be
Did you not give
Democrats—
that offer at 8 o'clock last
I'm
night?
talking now. Your time was ended a few seconds
Neither of
ago.
us are in time.
I don't think they're here to help us politically. I think they're here to tell us the truth. And oh, by the way, the first FTC letter to Twitter after the first set of Twitter files, the very first question was, who are the journalists you're talking to? And you guys don't care. You don't care.
You
don't
care
want
about the
you don't want the American
2011
people to see.
consent
You don't
decree?
want the American people to see what happened, the full video, transparency. You don't want that, and you don't want two journalists who have been named personally by the Biden administration, FTC, in a letter.
The Biden administration
And you're saying
is
they're
not
here
the
to help us?
FTC.
They're here to tell their story. And frankly, I think they're brave individuals for being willing to come after they've been named in a letter from the Biden FTC.
Is this your question time now?
No, I'm responding to your ridiculous statements you made in your opening statement.
Okay, well, let's get on with it.
Oh, now we want to get on with it. So you can
did.
say all the things you want, and I
I
point out
did
the
in my
facts.
opening statement,
I
as
point
well
out
as
all the
you had an
facts.
opening statement. You
Chair-
said what you needed to say in your opening statement, and I, as the ranking member, have
Without
used my
objection,
time.
all other opening statements will be
She's the
included in
ranking
the
member.
record. We will introduce today's witness, Matt Taibbi. He's a journalist and author. He's one of the authors of the Twitter files, previously worked for Rolling Stone, that right-wing publication, Rolling Stone, where so many Republicans work at. He's also written several books about American politics and culture.
Okay,
Chairman
here we go.
Jordan,
Here we
Ranking
go.
Member Plaskett, members of the Select Committee, thank you for having me.
Now I'm gonna let him talk. This is his opening, and this is like, to me, like, I don't know how you, as a journalist, how you can be any more thoughtful and just like I don't get it. I don't know how can you attack the messenger? Listen to his story. This is a journalist getting an opportunity to investigate the Twitter files, which is a corrupt, pulling the curtain back on collusion between the government, the FBI and CIA, and big tech. And he's telling the story, and we're trying to attack him. It's crazy. But I don't know how he could be any more eloquent with his presentation. Check this out.
Today. My name is Matt Taibbi. I've been a reporter for 30 years and a staunch advocate of the First Amendment. Much of that time was spent at Rolling Stone magazine. Ranking Member Plaskett, I'm not a so-called journalist. I've won the National Magazine Award, the I.F. Stone Award for Independent Journalism, and I've written 10 books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers. I'm now the editor of the online magazine Racket on the independent platform Substack. I'm here today because of a series of events that began late last year when I received a note from a source online. It read, "Are you interested in doing a deep dive into what censorship and manipulation was going on at Twitter?" A week later, the first of what became known as the Twitter Files reports came out. To say these attracted intense public interest would be an understatement. My computer looked like a Vegas slot machine, as just the first tweet about the blockage of the Hunter Biden laptop story registered 143 million impressions and 30 million engagements. But it wasn't until a week after the first report, after Michael Schellenberger, Barry Weiss, and other researchers joined the search of the files, that we started to grasp the significance of this story. The original promise of the internet was that it might democratize the exchange of information globally. A free internet would overwhelm all attempts to control information flow, its very existence a threat to anti-democratic forms of government everywhere. What we found in the files was a sweeping effort to reverse that promise and use machine learning and other tools to turn the internet into an instrument of censorship and social control. Unfortunately, our own government appears to be playing a lead role. We saw the first hints in communications between Twitter executives before the 2020 election, when we read things like flagged by DHS or please see attached report from FBI for potential misinformation. This would be attached to an Excel spreadsheet with a long list of names whose accounts were often suspended shortly after. Again, Ranking Member Plaskett, I would note that the evidence of Twitter-government relationship includes lists of tens of thousands of names on both the left and right. The people affected include Trump supporters, but also left-leaning sites like Consortium and Truth Out, the leftist South American channel Telesur, the Yellow Vest movement. That, in fact, is a key point of the Twitter files, that it's neither a left nor right issue. Following the trail of communications between Twitter and the federal government across tens of thousands of emails led to a series of revelations. Mr. Chairman, we summarized and submitted them to the committee in the form of a new Twitter files thread, which was also released to the public this morning. We learned Twitter, Facebook, Google, and other companies developed a formal system for taking in moderation requests from every corner of government, from the FBI, the DHS, the HHS, DOD, the Global Engagement Center at State, even the CIA. For every government agency scanning Twitter, there were perhaps 20 quasi-private entities doing the same thing, including Stanford's Election Integrity Partnership, NewsGuard, the Global Disinformation Index, and many others, many taxpayer-funded. A focus of this fast-growing network, as Mike noted, is making lists of people whose opinions, beliefs, associations, or sympathies are deemed misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation. That last term is just a euphemism for true but inconvenient. Undeniably, the making of such lists is a form of digital McCarthyism. Ordinary Americans are not just being reported to Twitter for de-amplification or deplatforming, but to firms like PayPal, digital advertisers like Xandr, and crowdfunding sites like GoFundMe. These companies can and do refuse service to law-abiding people and businesses whose only crime is falling afoul of a distant, faceless, unaccountable, algorithmic judge. As someone who grew up a traditional ACLU liberal, this mechanism for punishment and deprivation without due process is horrifying. Another troubling aspect is the role of the press, which should be the people's last line of defense in such cases. But instead of investigating these groups, journalists partnered with them. If Twitter declined to remove an account right away, government agencies and NGOs would call reporters for the New York Times, Washington Post, and other outlets, who in turn would call Twitter demanding to know why action had not yet been taken. Effectively, news media became an arm of a state-sponsored thought policing system. It's just not possible to instantly arrive at truth. It is, however, possible, becoming technologically possible to instantly define and enforce a political consensus online, which I believe is what we're looking at. This is a grave threat to people of all political persuasions. The First Amendment and an American population accustomed to the right to speak is the best defense left against the censorship industrial complex. If the latter can knock over our first and most important constitutional guarantee, these groups will have no serious opponent left anywhere. If there's anything the Twitter files show, it's that we're in danger of losing this most precious right, without which all democratic rights are impossible. Thank you for the opportunity to appear, and I'd be happy to answer any questions from the committee.
I mean, it's pretty self-effacing what he's saying. I mean, it's a witch hunt. He's defending himself, and the man is as credentialed as you can get. And Matt Taibbi was a hero to the left for many years, and now he's the villain. And once you veer course, you get in the opposing lane of any one of the issues. That's the problem, is that both parties want you to have one world view on certain issues. Now, when it comes to identity politics, they'll exploit that for their own benefit, just for us to, become tribalized, like you said, which is why the Democratic Party, in my mind, was stood for the working class always historically. And again, it didn't matter what race, color, creed, religion, sexual orientation you were, they represented the working class. And I know you're a big fan of unions, right? Well, let's go back. Let's go back to Clinton, because maybe I didn't finish his list. He signed NAFTA. NAFTA outsourced the jobs. So again, a Democrat. So what they did is they shifted the focus of working class to identity politics, and that was a tactical strategy on their end. And now we don't even talk about the working class or economy; it's non-existent. Now everything is identity politics on purpose on both sides. So you look at the issues that they both agree on, and that's what's important, because that's the one worldview. Anything that pharmaceutical companies, foreign policy, the national, the military industrial complex. I mean, we could go on and on. Outsourcing of jobs, the financial system, bailing out the financial institutions. Look, we just had another one with Silicon Valley Bank. Those are the things. And may I add also that under Barack Obama, a Democrat, and again, I'm not a Republican. I'm just saying we know their stance on many of these issues. More money went to the 1% under Barack Obama than any other president prior to him. And that's because he left after 2008. The interest rate's so low that they were just look at the wealth of some of these billionaires before Barack Obama and after. He put zero interest rates for them and we couldn't get that. And they could just play around on the global market. And, all you have to do is loan that at 1% or 2% or whatever as a carry trade. And, the wealth was exorbitant. So that's how it works. So people need to pay attention. It's difficult. You need to understand how the financial system works. You need to understand how foreign policy works. You need to know history. You're not going to get anything from a 5-minute clip on, Sean Hannity or Rachel Maddow or Anderson Cooper, any of them, none of them. So that's why I say we need an intellectual revolution. We need to start looking and digging for ourselves. And I think that we're in a inflection point in history now because of the media. We have great podcasts and alternative media figures. This is going to go in our favor. I can tell you the momentum is rising. And as the great Victor Hugo, the French novelist, said, nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And our time has come, and they cannot stop it. It's going to take some time. It's frustrating. We just can't come in, hang in there, because our time is now. I truly believe that.